Hello, and thank you for attending our information session today. We look forward to sharing some information with you regarding our Master of Education programs. Oki, and welcome to the University of Lethbridge. Our university's Blackfoot name is Aniskum, meaning Sacred Buffalo Stone. The university is located in traditional Blackfoot Confederacy territory. We honor the Blackfoot people and their traditional ways of knowing and caring for this land, as well as all Aboriginal peoples who have helped shape and continue to strengthen our university community. I'll do some brief introductions here before we get going with the presentation. First of all, my name is Susan Pollock. I'm the Program Manager in Graduate Studies in Research and Education. And also with us today is Dr. David Slomp, our Associate Dean. And we also will be having Dr. Kevin Wood will be joining us momentarily when he gets back from teaching. Also from our office, we have Courtney Merkel, our Program Specialist. And also from our office is Anna Mammo, our administrative support. And also with us today, Graduate Recruitment Officer Hannah Thomas, who's going to help run the session today. So I'm going to take over sharing screen here. And Hannah, can you just confirm that sharing properly on your end? Great, thank you so much. Okay, so in this information session, we're going to provide an overview of the programs currently accepting applications within the Faculty of Education. We'll discuss the features of our programs to help you decide if they meet your needs. We'll review the admission requirements in order that you can determine if you're ready to start your application. We'll examine the components that you need to include within your application. And finally, things will wrap up with a question and answer period. And we will hold all questions until the end of the presentation. Please feel free to enter your questions in the Q&A field and we'll read the question on your behalf. And just note that questions of a similar nature may be combined. So I'd like to quickly point out the programs we'll be speaking to today. This includes the MEd, Contemporary Issues in Education, with a study theme in complex realities of contemporary schooling. And for those of you familiar with our historic programs, you'll note that this has replaced our MEd General from previous years. We'll also be discussing the MEd Educational Leadership Program. Please note that the Faculty of Education also offers 2 graduate-level counseling psychology programs. However, these 2 programs will not be covered in the topics today, but a previously recorded session can be viewed on our website. So looking at the features of both the MEd Contemporary Issues in Education and the MEd Educational Leadership programs, first and foremost for teachers is the fact that the programs are designed for working professionals. Completing a graduate program while continuing to teach is no small undertaking, but the programs are designed to help you navigate the challenges of balancing both a master's program and your career at the same time. Our blend of online coursework and summer residency components makes this feasible. Note that if you're from outside the Lethbridge area, there are on-campus accommodations available for the summer component. Secondly, a huge strength of our program is our cohort model. Students are admitted to a cohort and proceed according to the schedule with their peers. Students in each cohort become a support network for each other, and this network lasts far beyond the timelines of the program. It is worth noting that we are going to be overlapping some cohorts in coming years. And so in some of the core courses, there will be an opportunity to actually meet individuals from other cohorts. And so that's another strength of the program, is you'll actually be broadening beyond just the scope of your own cohort. Third, our programs are course-based. So the courses are aligned with the field of study for the particular cohort, and courses are taught by faculty whose research is in the area or by instructors with a background and practice in the area. Fourth, in addition to coursework, students will complete a culminating activity. Students are provided with 3 options: the capstone, project, or thesis. And while the majority of our students complete a capstone, students wishing to undertake research may opt for a project or a thesis. Orientation to the various culminating activity options is held upon starting your program to help you decide upon an option that best fits your needs. You will determine which option you would like to pursue when you have completed your first year of program, so there is no rush to decide as part of your application. Fifth, our programs are affordable. So currently our total program fees are approximately $15,000 for the entire program for domestic students. This is the cost for the entire program and includes program fees, tuition, and miscellaneous fees. So a couple of notes regarding this amount. So it is based on the 2024-25 fee schedule and does not include potential increases in future years. It is approximate as the fees will vary slightly based upon each student's individual circumstances and programs. So for instance, opting in or out of the health and dental benefits. And international students should refer to the fee schedule for information as it will differ from the domestic rates noted. Finally, we have more than 40 years of experience offering graduate programs within the Faculty of Education. We've had time to figure out what works to ensure teachers are able to successfully navigate their career and a master's program. And our graduates speak highly of their experiences and remain committed advocates of our programs when they're completed their degree. Just a quick note for international applicants. These programs do not lead to teacher certification, so individuals interested in becoming a teacher should seek information on the Bachelor of Education program. And in regards to our master's programs, student visas will only be granted for the face-to-face component in July and not for the online portions during the remainder of the year. It is also important to note that our blended delivery model means that graduates are not eligible for a post-graduation work permit. So moving on to the individual programs, let's take a look at each one to see what fits your needs best. So first, we're going to look at the study theme and complex realities of contemporary schooling. So this is our new contemporary issues in education, which replaced the MEd General program. Increasingly, educators are recognizing both the complexities and diversities within and across educational systems. In this program, we embrace the opportunities and possibilities that arise as we come to terms with the increased complexity and diversity. I will briefly discuss the layout of the program, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. David Slomp to fill you in on the specific topics that will be covered in the program. So students commence the program in the summer, and summer courses last for 3 weeks and are offered on the Lethbridge campus. As I mentioned, on-campus accommodations are an option if you are from out of Lethbridge area. In the fall and winter terms, courses are offered online. Coursework is limited in the fall and winter terms to 1 course while you are busy with your teaching. The program is completed over 3 years and is comprised of 4 components. So there's core courses denoted by the bold, which are offered in fall and winter of years 1 and 2. There's also courses in the study theme, which are denoted by the blue font, and those are completed in years 1 and 2 during the summer term. There's elective courses, which are the final 3 courses in program offered in year 3. And then you have a choice of culminating activity, as we mentioned, which is a capstone, thesis, or project. And all students must complete a minimum of 36 credit hours. So depending upon the culminating activity you select, you'll complete the following. So if you select the capstone, which is a 1 course equivalent, you will complete all 11 courses noted and the capstone. If you select the project, which is the equivalent of 2 courses, you'll complete the project as well as the 4 core courses, 4 theme courses, and 2 elective courses. So you'll be reducing your elective course load by 1. If you select the thesis, which is equivalent to 4 courses, you will complete the thesis, 4 core courses, and the 4 theme courses. No electives are required for this culminating activity option. But students selecting the project or thesis may opt to complete elective courses required beyond the minimum requirements. So you may opt to take all of the courses noted in the program schedule and complete your culminating activity over and above that. Additional course fees would be assessed, and students completing a project or thesis typically require additional terms to complete program, and additional program fees are assessed if your program is extended. The program is well designed for working professionals. It gives you a break in May and June while you're busy wrapping up your classroom, and also provides a break in August to allow you time to decompress from both work and your studies and to get your classroom prepped for the fall. The schedule lends itself to navigating the challenges of a master's degree while continuing in your teaching career. Dr. Slomp, would you like to share anything further on this program?
Sure, briefly. Thanks, Susan, for the overview. Uh, so as we develop our graduate programs, we have a program advisory committee that has leading professionals from the ministry, from the ATA, from School Board Association, from Alberta Independent School Association, Indigenous educators as well. And so as we're kind of planning our new cohorts, we check in with them about what are some of the major issues or challenges or opportunities that they see in the field, and we build our programs based on what we hear from them. And so one thing we've been hearing consistently over the last few years is just how increasingly complex teaching is becoming, how increasingly complex schools are becoming, how more and more expectations are being placed on the schools in terms of its role within our society. And so, based on that work, we've decided to build a cohort focus around complex realities. A lot of the discourse today around education is rather negative. It's about teachers on the front line. It's about lack of funding, lack of supports. This program is not intended to sort of be negative in focus, but really to be hopeful in focus. So we begin in that first year by really understanding what are the complexities of schools, what's the history of schooling, what are the current realities of schooling, what are the current expectations and challenges that schools are facing. Um, that's part of your first summer. We'll pair that up with conversation around the ethics of care. What is an ethic of care? What does that look like in contemporary spaces, contemporary classrooms? Um, the thematic courses then in the second part of the second year of the program, so the second summer, really focus on the students. So year one focuses on schools and classrooms, those spaces. Year two really focuses on the complexities of students. So there's a course on cognitive psychology and child development. And then there's a course on just looking at students within educational systems and how they function and how they thrive. Um, in the fall and winter of year one is when you'll engage in the core courses in our program. So as Susan mentioned earlier, these are sort of blended. You'll take these courses with students in other cohorts and with students in the leadership program. And we really see this as a really important advance to our programs, so that regardless of what program one comes out of, they've had opportunities to have conversation with colleagues who are in other programs. And especially, I think I'm excited about the conversations between future school leaders and classroom teachers, and sort of informal leaders in schools, that this kind of blending is going to happen. So in year one, there'll be a focus on assessment and learning culture. So the role of assessment in learning cultures. In the winter, there will be a focus on research literacy. So being a consumer of educational research, how to be a critical consumer of that work. In the fall of the second year, there's a focus on foundations of modern schooling, which really looks at sort of the history of schooling, and the history and situatedness of different kind of theories and perspectives on schools, on learning, on children. And then our second year winter course is a new course that we've developed for the program, and it's a course that focuses on equity in education. We will take a Blackfoot student lens or experience as sort of the perspective through which we explore issues of equity in education. And then in the electives in year three, if you're not doing a thesis, focus on classrooms and schools as complex digital environments. So looking at complexities in this sort of digital space that we find ourselves in. And then a course on indigenization and decolonization, contemporary issues and perspectives around that topic. And then finally, the third elective course in the fall of year three focuses on navigating the complexities of culturally and linguistic diverse classrooms. Classrooms, even in what has been maybe more historically a monocultural kind of space in Southern Alberta, are increasingly diverse both in terms of culture and linguistic backgrounds of students. And so this course will look at how do we engage in those diverse groups and spaces. and create opportunities for students to thrive. I think I'll pause there, Susan. And
okay, thank you so much. Next, we'll look at the MEd Educational Leadership Schedule. And the purpose of this program is to enhance the knowledge and skills of candidates who wish to develop a leadership focus within their teaching career. The program prepares teachers for both formal and informal school leadership. Alberta education does now require certification in order to be a principal within the province of Alberta. And upon completion of this degree, students will meet the leadership quality standard required for Alberta education. So looking at the schedule, you'll see this is a 25-month-long program, and it consists of coursework, internships, and a culminating activity. In order to meet LQS requirements, students must complete all courses plus their option of a culminating activity. For the majority of the program, you're completing 2 courses per term. However, this is made feasible due to the completion of your internships, where you can leverage projects within your school or district towards your program. Additionally, coursework extends into May and June. Summer components for this program are also offered in July for 3 weeks on campus in Lethbridge. Courses are offered online throughout the rest of the year. While it is a more intensive schedule than the last one we looked at, students do get a break from program in August. And so that's how it's structured to allow you to complete within 25 months. Dr. Wood, we'd love to have you weigh in on the Educational Leadership Program if you'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, thanks, Susan. I'd love to. Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin, and I have the really great privilege to work in the educational leadership stream of our graduate programs at the University of Lethbridge. And in a nutshell, leadership in education, regardless of it being informal being, your job description or pay does not change. Formal being you're hired typically in an interview process to become a assistant principal or vice principal or principal or, division office member. Informal and formal leadership is explored in this program in a couple of realms that I'll just touch on quickly. The first is, how do you effectively complete the managerial tasks, requirements, so that we meet the outcomes of curriculum, budgeting. These types of things are explored in a philosophical way, alongside the idea that doing all this work is not easy, as all of you know as well as I do. But to do that in a way that is transformative or meaningful, we start to look at theories of transformational leadership, or leadership that aims to help us do the nitty-gritty work in a way that can be meaningful and, breathe life into the school. That's sort of the crux of what we attempt to do. As Susan said, we have a mixture of theoretical processes that then move into practical realities, where students have the really rich opportunity to see what does work, what doesn't work yet, what I didn't think worked but now works, in their own context and their own learning. The last thing that I'll add is that part of being a learner and a leader is recognizing elements of self and self-actualization. So our study of educational leadership also, we explore how you as a person interact with your professional responsibilities and professional goals, which is a really transformative process for our students who work really hard in their day job and then work really hard on their studies, but report back that the engaging in this graduate program is one that they're very happy that they did. So, Susan, do you think there's anything that I missed that from being involved in here that I could speak to, or do you think that's a pretty good summary?
I think that's a great summary. And if individuals have questions at the end, they can also ask further questions at that point. Thanks so much, Dr. Wood. So we've talked about the contemporary issues in education, the Educational Leadership Program. Next, we'll look at things to, spend some time sharing the components needed for you to submit your application, as well as the minimum requirements for admission. So admission requirements includes having a University of Lethbridge or equivalent baccalaureate degree. So a BEd is the preferred degree coming in. A minimum GPA of 3.0 based on the 4.0 scale in terms containing the last 20 university graded courses. So I'm reading that out fully because I noticed that it answers the question for one of the Q&A items that are there. So yeah, the GPA is 3.0 based on a 4.0 scale in terms containing the last 20 courses. So if it's more than 20 courses in those time frame, then you would count all, say, 23 courses within that time frame. You would also require about 2 years of teaching experience, and if it's required, the English language proficiency. And additionally, for the MEd Educational Leadership Program, preference is given to applicants who have leadership experience and/or demonstrated leadership potential. And it's important to know that reviewers don't simply rely on a cutoff of GPA, and they do look at all of the components of the application. And as a result, I would recommend that individuals having a GPA slightly below 3.0 who have strengths in other areas do consider submitting an application. So we do, on occasion, admit somebody who's very strong in other areas who might have had a GPA from many years ago that was below a 3.0. So do keep that in mind, and you can reach out to our office if you have questions about that. So knowing the admission requirements, you know, if you've determined that you've met or exceeded these admission requirements, you can start to pull together the components required for your application. And this includes just several things, but it's good to know that once you have these items together, the application itself, which is completed online, will only take you a few minutes once you have everything pulled together to upload within your application. So first of all, you're going to need transcripts, and they're required for every post-secondary institution you have attended, even if for just one course. Okay, so all institutions. Only unofficial copies are required at the time of application, and they must be uploaded with your application. So be sure to note all institutions within your educational background section and upload transcripts for each. So even if you took one course at Athabasca University once upon a time, we still need that transcript for that particular course. And if you have transfer credit, so if you started out at Red Deer College, for instance, and transferred to U of L, we would still need Red Deer College, even though those transfer credits are showing on your U of L transcript. So official transcripts will only be required if you're admitted to the program. So you don't need to actually order anything until you're admitted to the program if you wanted to save on some money for official transcripts. So additionally, 3 referees are required. So you will simply enter the name and email address of the individuals who have agreed to act as a referee for you. So you do not request a letter from them. Instead, when you enter their information in the application system, they'll be sent an email and they will enter their evaluation directly within our online system. Be sure to click the Submit Recommendation Request button so that they receive the email to complete the form. So that's how they get their notification. And you can track the status of your references, so you can check to see if they have submitted or not. So when you log into the Apply Web CollegeNet application system, you can see that status, and you can also send them a little nudge reminder to submit. Please remember that referees need to submit by March 15th, so provide them with plenty of notice. And we do receive many inquiries regarding what the best mix of referees is. A minimum of 2 professional references should be used. However, all 3 can be professional references if, for instance, you've been out of school for a long time, it's difficult to obtain an academic reference. So again, minimum of 2 professional and 1 academic, or if academic isn't feasible, you could submit 3 professional. You'll also need to upload a letter of intent, which clearly outlines your interest in the program and intended career outcome, and 1 to 2 pages is sufficient. You'll also include your CV as part of your application, which is essentially a resume that includes any publications that you might have. And if required, you'll provide documentation of your English language proficiency or ELP test scores. So when to apply? So if you have all the pieces of your application in place, you're ready to submit your application. You can commence your application and go back to finish it at a later time. So even if you don't have all the pieces quite pulled together, you can start your application and it will save automatically as you're going from page to page. Applications may be submitted up to and including March 15th. References are also due by March 15th. So we do recommend commencing at least several weeks prior to give them time to submit. And submitting your application earlier is better to make sure you can get everything in place and you don't have any hiccups in submitting. And it allows us to follow up with you in case there are any questions about your file. And finally, I'll just provide some web links here that are provided for your reference. Do please feel free to send us an inquiry through the contact form rather that's noted there. Want to thank you for joining us today, and we hope you found the session to be informative. We'll commence the Q&A session, and again, it'll be moderated. If you have a question, just please enter it in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and I'll read it out loud, and you won't be identified in any way. So one of the questions here is what kind of funding is available for students? So there's two main components to funding for our graduate students. So scholarships is the first, and the majority come as entrance awards. So last year in our master's program, we distributed over $170,000 to our graduate students. We have had further recent commitments from the School of Graduate Studies, which should allow us to increase this amount in future years. We're excited about that. Secondly, students can apply for a graduate assistantship in which they would provide a faculty member with assistance in their research for several hours per week. So a full-time graduate assistantship, which entails 8 hours of work per week, will provide remuneration of $3,700 per term, normally assigned in the fall and or winter terms. So those are the two main ways that we're able to give back to students in terms of funding. There's a question here about accommodations on campus for the face-to-face sections of the program. So yes, accommodations are available for a fee from your on-campus components of the program. We do work, so Courtney works diligently with conference services to have rooms set aside for our students. And there are a variety of options, including one-bedroom units and multi-bedroom units for sharing. And students may also opt to utilize other avenues of accommodation, such as Airbnb or Lethbridge Polytechnic. There's a question about preparing you for a career of teaching in Alberta. So as mentioned, the Master of Education is not designed to meet the requirements for individuals wishing to become teachers in the province of Alberta. So completing the MEd will not allow us to put your name forth to Alberta Education as meeting TQS. So individuals seeking teacher certification should apply to the Bachelor of Education program. There's a question about the dates that the program is going to run in July. So we haven't yet set the specific dates for which summer session 2 will run, which is the session that our classes run. But it does start July 2nd. So from a calendar perspective, it's July 2nd and goes for about 3 weeks. But we will, anybody who's admitted to program will be getting information specifically about the dates that you will be expected to be on campus so that you can make arrangements for housing and things like that. There's a question about what platform is used to deliver the online courses. So we do use Moodle as our learning management system. And further, this question asks how students can get help from instructors from a distance. So I would mention that it's the help you get is not necessarily just from instructors. So it can be from our office. It can be from the teaching center. It can be from other departments on campus. So depending on what the inquiry is that you're looking for, you can start with Courtney Merkel and then she can branch it out from there. But if you're looking for something for assistance directly from the instructor, you would be communicating by email or through messaging in Moodle and, potentially setting up a time to have a Teams chat or Zoom chat with the instructor so that you can work out your issues. But I would also mention that your cohort plays a very supportive role. And so typically speaking, not always, but typically speaking in a Moodle platform, there will be a dialogue, like a discussion forum for students to ask questions. It really depends on how the instructor has set up the course, but you can also reach out to your peers in your cohort and get some support from that way. And we really do find the cohort is a great support network for people as they commence through program. There's a question here about, is the MEd educational leadership programming open to students outside of the province for studying? Yes, absolutely. And the internship class would still work outside of province. You would just be setting up your projects, in whatever school or district you're working on, and it would be run in the same manner that any student within Alberta would be completing their internship. There's a question about when students are notified if they're accepted or not. So we have a really, really tight turnaround time because we've extended our application deadline to March 15th. So April 1st is what we strive to let everybody know, which is, an incredible turnaround. So 2 weeks. So we hope to let everybody know approximately April 1st. It may be a few days later than that. There's a question about graduate assistantships being done virtually. Absolutely. There's lots of students who complete a graduate assistantship online who don't actually live in Lethbridge. Most of our students don't live in Lethbridge. We're a program that's designed, these programs are designed for working professionals, and they only have to be on campus for 3 weeks. So we do have people from all across the province, and that adds, I think, to the strength of the program, because you have people from multiple school districts, so you're bringing really unique situations. To your perspective is going to be met with people with different perspectives, and that can only help but let you grow. Last question that's on here is work study available for international students. So the study permits, as mentioned, are only for the on-campus components in July. So study permits are not granted to be in Canada during the online portions. You would have to complete your online portions from your home country. So we'll wrap things up unless there's some new questions. Anybody, Dr. David Slomp or Dr. Kevin Wood, did you have anything further that you wanted to add, or Courtney or Anna?
I might add to just the last, we are looking at a program model for future intake years that would enable international students to come and be and qualify for a full-time study visa and then the postgraduate work visa that would come with that. We're just not quite there yet in terms of being able to offer it, but that's certainly in the works for a year or two down the road.
Thanks, Dr. Slomp.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to just jump in and say, congratulations to everybody for considering graduate studies. I think, balancing everything that people do in their lives and then to add formal learning back. I strongly encourage you to consider it. I strongly encourage you to consider the University of Lethbridge, where I'm a graduate and alumni of, and this program really aims to support the work of scholars and practitioners and really be real about the great joy and challenges of education. So keep considering it. Get your application together and take a leap of faith, because graduate studies are some of the most beautiful times for people in not just their learning life, but in their life themselves. So I wish you all well. Thanks for taking the time with us.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the perspective, Kevin. Yeah, I would say, going back to just the theme, this critical realities of contemporary school, one of the things that we're really hearing from our students who are currently in program is just how engaging in graduate studies, how rejuvenating it's been, because it really gives you opportunities to think deeply about the things that you're facing in the systems that you're working in, and to talk to other people who are living, similar but different realities and challenges, and so how energizing that is. So yeah, to echo what Kevin's saying, I think it's a great time and a great opportunity to sort of revitalize your career, recommit to the amazing work that you're already doing, and sort of find new depths and new opportunities in there. As we talked, there was one additional question that's come up, actually two now. Are the MEd educational programs not necessary for international students to be on campus to study? So one of the ways the program is structured is we have 3 weeks of face-to-face classes in the summers, And then the other classes are online during the fall and winter. And so for international students, that becomes an issue when it comes to a visa because you're not required to be on campus to study. And so Canada, the Canadian government won't offer a study permit to be on campus or to be here for the full year, given the program structure. And then there's another question: how many applicants do you usually have, and how many do you usually accept? So this really varies by program. Some of our programs have more than double the number of applicants than we're able to admit. In our counseling programs, we're only able to admit about 10% of our applicants. But in our leadership and our contemporary issues programs, I would say it's more likely that the vast majority of qualified applicants. So if you meet those minimum requirements, the vast majority of those applicants will be accepted into programs. So
I'd maybe just add to that, David, that the cohort size is about 20 typically. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate you spending time with us. And just a reminder that if you have any questions, you can email us at edu.masters